So the question really is Eckhart Tolle enlightened? Hey guys, it's John here. I'm sitting here in my studio on a beautiful Saturday morning drinking my cup of coffee. And I've done a bunch of videos lately on people, and it's not what I want this channel to be, and so I won't be doing a lot of these, but I have been getting a lot of people asking me about Eckhart Tolle and whether he's an enlightened soul, and I get a lot of those kind of questions about Eckhart Tolle. I want to talk about Eckhart Tolle because I find Eckhart Tolle fascinating. I want to tell you right up front that I can't listen to him for long. I'd rather read his book than hear him speak because his voice makes me fall asleep. I don't think he's a particularly engaging speaker. And so I just kind of fade out when I'm listening to him. When I read his books, I find a lot of correlations with my own personal beliefs, my own personal truths. One of the things that he talks about, specifically in The Power of Now, is the concept of being present. And when you look at the concept of being present, you find very quickly that Eckhart is very much in the mindset of all of your negative experience comes from being out of time. When you look at what he's actually saying, he's saying that all of your negative experiences are based in either past experience or a future negative focus. Now, it's the same thing I say when I talk about fear not being rooted in the present. Fear is always based upon a past experience and a negative focus on it happening again or something similar happening. But in the present moment, all that fear really is just an emotional reaction to those two states. What he talks about is bringing yourself to this very, very present moment. By being very present, you no longer have those experiences because you no longer are processing through the filter of fear. So by coming very present, you have this experience, right? In the New Earth book that he did, he goes very deep into the concept of ego. Now, he and I do part company on the idea of what ego is. In that book, he very much sort of lays out that ego is something we have to battle or eradicate. And for me, being here in the present is very much about not battling your ego, but keeping your ego in balance, because the word ego simply means self-awareness. It does not mean anything else but awareness of the I. And you can be so self-aware to the exclusion of others and be a narcissist, which is what the word ego is being used as now. Or you can be so aware of others to the exclusion of yourself and be a much more empathic person who is also one who gives themselves up for the sake of wanting to be loved by others. So you end up with this very broad array. But in reality, what you're looking for is to strive to have equality in love, to be balanced in love, to love yourself equally as you love others and have others love themselves equally as they love you. And so it comes down to a balance within that love state. But that balance comes first by loving yourself, by first bringing yourself up to the realization that you are a part of the source, part of God, and very present. When you start putting yourself into a situation that your I is overly self-important, you find yourself realizing that you're out of balance towards the narcissist side or the too self-aware side. And what he talks about is the idea of all of these negative states and all the way we react to the world comes from this idea of that balance of ego. And he was talking about eradicating the ego, which I disagree with, because I don't think it's about eradicating the ego, because that goes against what the word ego means in my mind. When I look at his work, the question comes down, and this is the question I get frequently, is he an enlightened soul? Well, that really depends on your version of enlightenment, right? When you look at the word enlightenment, a lot of people think of it as, the big giant light show, having all this new super awareness, all these things, right? What Eckhart Tolle talks about is being present. All of that dogmatic belief is based upon past experiences, and usually past experiences of somebody else. And so drawing that time from the past to the present, you lose all of that dogmatic belief because it's no longer relevant to who you are in this moment. The future's not set, and it's coming towards you anyway. So in reality, where you go from this point forward is not in any way, shape, or form relevant to who you are in this present moment. So right here in this present moment, you're in this experience. You've set down the dogmatic rules that you're supposed to follow into the future that are usually based upon some prophecy that is going to happen. So in other words, it's out of time. It's not being present. And in the Bible, Joshua says, be here today, tomorrow will take care of itself. Let go of the past, let go of the future, and get very present. Well, once you start doing that, you start losing all of those dogmatic rules, like I said, and you also start losing all that victimhood from your past, and you set all those things down. You become lighter. You become enlightened. When you read Eckhart Tolle's work, that's what he's done. He's coming to being very present. His first book, The Power of Now, it talks about, being very present and how, it's in presence that you find your connection, right? In The New Earth, he talks about basically how to use your present moment, how to change your world around you by being very present. It really does come down to that being very present and not being a subject to past experience or future prophecies. It literally comes down to this moment. So do I believe he's an enlightened soul? I believe he's definitely an enlightened individual because he has set down those dogmatic rules and those dogmatic principles. And in setting down those dogmatic rules and principles, he has come to a space of realization of that he himself is one with God, one with the source. And that is the kind of enlightenment that you hear in Jeshua's words. The Father and I are one. He comes back to that space of that oneness with God. The interesting thing about oneness with God is you can find oneness in God in Buddhism and Hinduism and Baha'i and many other schools of thought, but the one real serious outlier is Christianity. They believe only Jesus was one with God. And so you can't have that oneness with God. Eckhart Tolle doesn't have that separation. He has that belief that he is in the present connected to Source, connected to God. And so when you look at it from the aspect of Eckhart Tolle as an enlightened soul, he's definitely an enlightened soul because he no longer has all of the burdens of all of that dogma and all of that prophecy weighing on him because he's being very present. And he's teaching to be very present. So do I find him fascinating? Absolutely, I find him fascinating. I thoroughly enjoy his writings. I think some people have gone off the deep end and really kind of gone a little crazy, and not to mention names or point fingers, but Jim Carrey. I love Jim Carrey a lot, but when you see him go to an event like the red carpet and just kind of berate someone for what they're doing being ridiculous, that's not being present. That's being superior, and to me that's an ego way out of balance. But that's just my opinion on that. I love him in his films, and there are some things he said that I find just really lovely as well. So, but he is a student of Eckhart Tolle, but I think that he kind of missed some of the points. But that's my take on that. You guys, when you read Eckhart Tolle, read from the perspective of not looking for something to follow. Read from the perspective of he's showing you who you are and bringing you to your world and realizing that your new earth really depends on you being in the present and loving to really live a loving life, to create a loving world. And that really is my take on Eckhart Tolle. I think he's phenomenal, and I enjoy his work. I just can't listen to him speak because it just puts me to sleep. Anyway, that's my thought on him. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.